I'll get to talk
Butthole!
about the idea.
Free butthole! Okay. It looks like we're live. This is Craig Martelle coming to you live from the subarctic while I still have some internet. And
Internet's
we had
going all
some.
over the place. Yellow, red, green, green, red, yellow.
Yeah, we had some issues this morning and will. So we're here. Hopefully, let's click it back over to public. Hopefully people come online, talk to us, and join us this morning, Saturday morning. It's Saturday. Because I did pop up on your live yesterday, just accidentally clicked on it on my phone. And I saw somebody saying, "What day is it? What day is it?" You set that standard. Today is Saturday. So we're here. Where are you coming to us from, Michael?
I am still on the Strip in Vegas. It's a little bit busier, but there are no casinos are open yet. They supposedly open next week. A handful, maybe one. And by a whole bunch, I mean just one, Treasure Island. And then the week after and the week after. We'll see what happens. But more and more restaurants are opening as we get toward the end of the month, and that is very beneficial. So Judith and I went out and went driving around yesterday. So just get out of the house, get sunshine. So get a little bit of that. So that's what's going on here. On the plus side, I don't have really loud music going doom, 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 doom at 9 o'clock in the morning. So that's nice.
Cool. Hey, good to know. Good to know. Good to see. Anyway, we're looking forward to being open as well. I went to Costco yesterday and went and got water and did some other things. And in Costco, mask, social distancing, all that good stuff. I went to the post office. They even took the table away. There's no 6 foot. There's no social distance rules anymore in the post office. So,
oh yeah,
the immunity. And I didn't wear my mask because I was carrying a 40-pound box of books, mailing a big old media mail box of books, and I can't breathe with the mask anyway. So doing physical work and having that thing in front of my face is an instant asthma attack. So I prefer not to do that. And so I walked in and people were around and whatever. So not dead yet. Intend on not dying.
Sufficiently not dead and intend to be sufficiently alive. Hey, I got a question for you that happened yesterday that I can't remember the gentleman's name. 3 years ago, whenever we did the first 20 books, and I met Jonathan Brazy out at the Nellis Air Force Base, right? You had invited another gentleman who has a publish or a printing company that prints these amazing hardback books. And I believe that question came up yesterday. Can you speak about that gentleman, please?
Oh, you bet. Stephen Lee is the one we're talking about here. He has a number of companies that he owns, and one of them is a mom and pop shop that do the hardback books. I always forget their name because I just go through Stephen and he funnels me to the right people. And I got custom books. They were $56, $65, something like that, dollars each. But they were magazine glossy paper with full color. It was a 9-book set in one volume, and a glossy of the cover, of the high res cover, in between each of the books. So I had full color inserted there. I had buckram covers, making it look very encyclopedic, with the gold foil inlay. Sweet. They are sweet. I got a set for my dad, my brother, me, my son, and then I have one extra set that at some point in time, if I ever become popular, I'm going to sell them. I'm going to sell them to pay my internet bill. So
we're going to need to fund you, man, this month. Help pay off Craig's $2,000 internet bill.
June 1st. So actually, that's an announcement. I'm not doing any CNM shows this next week until June 1st. I am off until June 1st, and the data resets and we can move forward because I have a new plan for next month. They couldn't do anything retroactively, and I have an additional thing coming which I haven't gotten yet. So if I get that thing, a metered connection that I bought 510 gigs on. Ooh. So if I get that thing and get it up, it's a Skyroam, but it's the metered connect, so it's not subject to data rationing or any of the other issues that are affecting my other one. So if I get that, then I'll be able to go on. But until then, no CNM show because it just got too expensive. And June 1st, we'll be back. We'll line up some guests between now and then and have a great time. Me and Mike will probably come on next Saturday anyway, just because we have a great time. And and you might tell from the banter if we ran over into when we were alive that we have a good time talking no matter what we're talking about, even if the word "but Hulk" comes up and appears out of nowhere. So
I did. I might have mentioned that the fact that you have this fetish with that yesterday might have mentioned it.
so we're here, and Michael and I were looking at what do we need to talk about, and how about
Nothing.
characters? How about yeah, well, when we talk about nothing, it ends up about our butts.
It's
So
not mine. You are the one with the fetish.
I I did I 7:30 this morning. I had kimchi. This is one thing I'm increasing as I'm my healthy diet. So I had
Oh,
kimchi
hey,
at 7:30 this morning.
I don't even know what kimchi is, but you know what? Congratulations to you. And there are a few others that I've heard about this. I just took my weight this morning. I am basically plus 1 pound over the pandemic. I was thinking that there would be a lot of people, so I mentioned it to
Not
Martha
bad.
Carr, I think, about COVID-19 is going to be like COVID plus 19 pounds, kind of like your freshman 15. She's like, no, I've lost. No, my
Yep.
son's
Yep.
lost. Craig is lost. I'm like, I'm the only SOB who's gained a pound. Oh, well, shoot.
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I'm not going to call out Annalise, but she made a public post about that very
And
thing,
sorry.
and it wasn't it, it, it wasn't 1 pound, Michael. You are good. So
I don't want someone's
no, no, there's
fortune to make me feel okay,
it's
but how did you spell her name?
yeah, we don't need to have somebody else feel bad for Michael to feel good. Oh, let me turn on the light here so I don't look all
Yeah.
washed out. No, and the weather's great up here, so we're getting out and I'm burning calories as well as really, really controlling my diet. I did away with pretty much all snacks and all stuff, and it's going well. I might lock up here pretty soon. I'm down to one red bar, and if I do, just keep talking. But characters, I wanted to talk about characters and character development, and let me ask you some questions. Bethany Ann, your breakout series, your series that made the Kurtherian Gambit what it is.
Hmm.
It starts off with Bethany Ann being a kick-ass investigator, but she's sick and she's not taking it well, and she's kind of resigned, but still a little bit uh,
Annoyed.
defensive about, hey, if I'm going to go out, annoyed. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And then she's like, okay, I go see the old man. I mean, our relationship isn't great, but let me go see him and try to make peace because hey, I'm dying. And then you go forward, and 20 books later, actually 29 books later, she's still kicking. and, but talk about that. What made you think about this is the way to shape this character at the beginning of a 21 book, a planned 21 book series?
You know, the interesting thing about it is there's a couple of stories and a couple of comments that come up. And the way my brain works is that I put together different like truths that you hear. And it happens to be that Steve Jobs, whenever he brought the iPhone out, said people can only actually handle 3 bits of information well. You can put 4 in, 5 in, or whatever, but they handled 3 well. And so what I wanted to do was create a character where I felt there were 3 attributes of this character that were compelling. And this is what I wanted to focus on. It just so happened that justice, which is not legal, by the way, it's just justice was one that I had a very, that sense of that's just not right. My wife, who is a JD, comes on and she's legal. So in Texas, I'm like, if someone comes into your house, let's say you put up barbed wire fence, 8 foot tall, and then you put something around the inside of your house with razor blades, and they get cut. I don't know about Texas, but in California, that's illegal. You will get sued for that, and it pisses me off because I'm like, they're breaking into my house. Which part of what an idiot don't you understand? And so it was offending my sense of justice, and Judith was trying over years, I might add, to get me to understand this concept that human life is being worth more than whatever. And I'm like, they're breaking the law. They're breaking into my house. They're lucky they don't get shot, type of situation. And so that aspect of my personality, and that's one thing that I've believed that has been beneficial as I've worked with other authors, is drawing out a really strong aspect of their own personality to plug into a character because now it's them. They feel this. That that aspect of their personality is all them. And I believe that's beneficial for her. And then I made two of them. One, she doesn't, it's very Marine. I admired this in all of the military stuff I did, which is no one gets left behind. No one gets left behind. And I believe that is so compelling and so beneficial to the individuals who like, I just wish I had friends or family or whatever that felt the same way. And then the last one was she loves coconut Pepsi. It's a frou-frou thing, but as I go through building more and more characters over the years, I was thinking about it this morning. I have a character that I want people to like more, and I go, wait a minute, she's not fully rounded out, and no, actually, I'm not going to go into the details of this one, but it just suffice to say that there was something about that character that if you don't nail it down, it doesn't make secondary and tertiary attributions as important to the reader's mind. So I believe that there's some really things. Then over time, you know, Bethany Ann is pro Coke because I'm pro Coke, you know. And then I've done the same thing with barbecue. I've done the same thing with other facets of people. Find something that they connect with, and then you can immediately get someone to either go pro your character or like your character, but they're going to argue with them, and that helps engage a person.
And it helps broaden your character, especially if they see different things and say, okay, it makes me think. Questions that make somebody think, no matter where they are on the spectrum of success. Like, okay, very successful in challenging and defeating evil. And this is something Stan Lee did really well with Spider-Man and some other
Hmm.
comics and storylines, is making the character flawed. Because Superman, okay, without kryptonite, Superman just did whatever he wanted. Yes, he had that sense of justice, but you see it every day where people who think they're invulnerable have a tendency to do wrong things because hey, I can't be touched, and that's not reality. That's a very, very small sect, and they can be. Everyone is vulnerable. So working that into your story to make it a flaw that is worked on is a successful approach. It's a simple plotting device that works. Making them too flawed, well, that's a challenge too. But then how do they get through it? I've had characters uh, that were almost paralyzed by their own issues. I have one character with Asperger's who is significantly challenged in social settings and has been for a number of books. And you'll see in Bad Company 7, who do they lean on when the chips are down, because he is a technical genius, and learning to work with him has been a challenge over the 170 years of this series. Thanks, Michael. It'll be 4 books, he says. Yeah.
I, that's not my fault. But what did we say before we started this? I said I have, because you were like so ready to finish that, and I go, so I started this thing about Bad Company, and you're telling me this morning I'm 105,000 words into the last book of Bad Company, and my answer was I have nothing more. I promise you, there's nothing.
And I sent the editor a note saying, hey, it looks like 120, and then I posted today that, hey, it'll be fine. I'm at 105. And she said, should I plan for more than 120 or 2 days to edit this? And I said, probably, because it'll be probably closer to 130,000 words for a series where there's a number of books that are 51,000 words. I think there are 3 different books through the course of them that are only like 51,000. Here's this one. There's Nomad 9, which was 118,000 words. Hey, but this is, you write the story that needs to be written, and you close the loops that need to be closed. Since this is the last book, the it's a lot of stuff to close, a lot of stuff that happens, and it's a lot of going back to the old style that we did in the original series. Hey, here's this stuff, here's this going on, here's this good banter, here's some good fights, here's stuff that matters, here's people who are threatened and hurt, and how do we make them better, and then continue to move forward. So all of that stuff, capturing all of it. I mean, 105,000 now. I'm at the good part of the story. Everybody should feel this. It's like the runner's high, where you're running and it just everything kicks in and you just feel like you're floating while you're going. I never feel that. It sucks to run. So writing, I get that when I write. And now I'm at the point of the story where everything flows. I know everything is going to happen with very, very clearly in my mind. All I have to do is sit down and write it. And I do that to the exclusion of all else. And it helps that my internet's spotty too, because it'll go out and I'm like, okay, whatever, disconnect, and then go back to writing. I had 7,000 words yesterday, 5,000 words a day before, 6,000 words a day before that. So needless to say, they're adding up fast, and we'll get to 130 in a hurry. I promised it to Lynn on May 31st, and I'm probably going to be done in maybe 5 days, but 5 days with an additional 25, 30,000 words. And I'll shoot it to my insider team to give them a chance, because they wanted to make sure that I didn't get too technical in some areas, because I am I do have some sciencey stuff in there, and some military stuff, and they wanted to make sure I didn't get too far in the weeds on things. So I'll shoot it to them for a couple days, and then I'll get it to Lynn by the 31st, and we'll go on. We'll roll. It's already up for pre-order, so it's good to go. It's done enough that we won't miss that pre-order no matter what happens.
Excellent. So, some of the other aspects of characters, what genres do you believe are not necessary to have amazing characters or really strong characters? Do any genres get away with it? Silence.
Outside of nonfiction,
Yes.
looking at fiction, I think all of the major successful series have characters that you embrace and follow on their journey, and everything else is a backdrop. I know there's some dark themes which I don't read that have that dark character that they almost follow them out of curiosity and amazement to see what horrible things they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the character that you embrace, even in horror movies, and I don't read horror either, but in the horror movies, there's still you are cheering for this group who's going to survive. Almost all of them are going to get whacked except one. Otherwise, there won't be any sequel, unless it's Sharknado, and then you get 6 sequels whether you want them or not. But it all comes back to the character. And some of the most successful movies in Hollywood, doesn't matter the backdrop, it matters the characters. And if you can make the backdrop really interesting, like Star Wars back in 1975 when it first came out.
Yeah.
76. The characters, you watch it now and you're like, oh my God, the acting was horrible, or these characters are kind of shallow, and it's like, but the age, you look at that time, they were characters that you could relate to because the backdrop was so fantastic. They compelled and moved the story forward, and you're wowed with all the special effects that had never been done before, special effects to that degree. And then as they got on, they tried to improve the character engagement while still having the wow effect from all the special effects. And people do that with their stories. I try to do that with my stories. I try to have that background that is really vibrant and happening. And something you taught me was go back through and look at the 5 senses. What do they smell? What do they see? What do they taste? What do they? How do they approach this? And you incorporate that as a background to add color. It's like putting pictures up in the wall of your living room. Nobody wants to walk through a plain white house with nothing that's there, not even carpet. So shag, 70s shag, baby. I grew up with it. So,
Oh, vacuuming that as a little young kid was horrible. So let me ask you a question. So if we graded, let's say milieu, so everything but the characters themselves, right? And the engagement with the characters is milieu, and then you have characters. How would you rate J.K. Rowling's work? The characters, the kids, the whatever, versus how interesting the world she created was.
Her background was extremely vibrant,
Mm-hmm.
but Hogwarts and all of that world would be nothing without these characters driving the plot. The 3 people who were always, wherever anything bad happened, there's any trouble.
But that's not
Why
them.
are you 3 always the ones?
Yeah,
but
I
it
didn't
is.
like them. I could care less about them. It's like you could have given me 3 other children practically. other than Harry Potter and everything else. And I'm like, okay, fine. Now, it's been so long since I've read this to my kids, but the really tall guy, that helped Harry out and went and fetched him. What was his name?
Hagrid.
Anyone? Yeah, yeah, Hagrid. I mean, I liked Hagrid. I thought he was compelling, but Harry, I just despised practically from the beginning. And Hermione was okay. The redheaded guy, eh, And so I find it when I look back at that and I go, but the milieu, the story, the different schools,
Mm,
that stuff, what to me was actually a lot more engaging than the characters for me. So anyway,
okay.
Dean's like, oh God, I wanted to kill, and I think he's referring to Jar Jar Binks in this case.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was maybe had been a minor miscue in the canon, but Harry Potter, it still, look at how it starts. Every book and series, you read how they start, and this is how I started this. Bethany Ann. It starts with her
Hmm.
at her desk, getting the accolades, getting the news that hey, things aren't good. She's going to die. I mean, that minor issue, that minor thing that you took care of it later by like chapter 4 or 5, but you still starting. And for Harry Potter, it started. He lives in an average house on an average land, and almost started like freaking Winnie the Pooh. Here's the 10-acre wood. We have a bear and a piglet and a freaking donkey. I'm like, what the
So here's
hell?
a
Oh no. But it's the back. Here's the backdrop, and here's the characters.
so why don't you do Winnie the Pooh in Alaska?
Sorry.
We'll make that. But anyway, currently, Facebook user, I don't know the name, is currently writing a series about a group of female assassins. The characters are unique, but not necessarily wholesome. It's important to add likability while killing people. Any suggestions? Um, I'm going to go to you for a minute on this one, but in the end of the day, I guess the question is also what makes you like people? Just question yourself. For me, anyone who typically is willing to sacrifice, but they have a strong sense of something. It's like, I'm going to kill you. Oh, by the way, like in Bethany Ann's case, almost everyone she killed really deserved it. So it was one of those things where I would spend time creating a character to kill them so that the fans realize this person truly deserved the heinous act. There was, and we talked about it yesterday on one thing where she took a guy in a car and dropped him into a lake that was 900 feet deep. There was no coming back from that. But by that time, you knew justice was being served. So, from the standpoint of the assassins, if you're going to kill a little kid, you're about screwed because there's very little that's going to get you back from that. And God forbid you should ratchet that up to they kill a dog or something of that nature.
Or
So
the main character. But I didn't think he was the main character. He was.
you're
I,
gonna,
I,
yeah, thanks a lot for
no problem. I have to refer back to one of the greatest movies of all times, True Lies, when Jamie Lee Curtis asks Arnie, have you ever killed anyone? And he said, yes,
yes,
but they were all bad.
dead.
And this is while he was on, this is while he was under the truth serum and he couldn't lie. And yes, but they were all bad. In his mind, they were all bad. If you look at the terrorist, the bad guy, he thinks the exact same way. I'm killing
Mhm.
you Americans because you're messing with our people and our lives, and you need to stay over here, and you're bad, and leave us good people alone over there. There's no bad person thinks that they're bad. And this is how do you make the bad person and some of the best antagonists still are relatable. It's like, geez, he's really not wrong. Hey, you killed my you took my uh, all my cattle and you burned down my ranch. Yeah, but it was you built it where on my property or something else, and nobody was there at the time. It looked like it was abandoned, so we cleaned it out. And I mean, so you make it plausible. And now this guy goes on a rampage. Hey, you burned down my ranch. I'm coming after you. And so who's the bad guy here? And those are make for the best stories because you're torn on who to cheer for. No, the good guys. Hey, I'm cheering for the good guys. Who are the good guys? We all know Darth Vader's a bad guy, except he wasn't. in the end. He was until he wasn't. I mean, it was a big twist. It was cool. I am your father. Okay, yeah,
I
cool,
still don't
whatever.
get that one even.
Get the fuck out. You just cut off my hand, dick.
No! Ah! So let's commit suicide. So,
Shake on
one
it.
thing, yeah. So one thing that in going and creating characters, it's all well and good, I think, to say, okay, create compelling characters. That's a very high level concept, right? And then to
Yes.
say, okay, there are, I like to do three facets, two um, relevant and one of them kind of not. But another way that we've tried to figure out if we have a compelling character whenever we go through these sessions is I like to say, are we sitting there riffing off of just the character's attributes? Martha Carr and I just the other day did one, and it's not even the main character, it's the secondary character, and we were laughing about it the next day, talking about, oh my God, what would happen if this occurred? And I've done that one time where we were talking about a dog and we gave it attributes, and then you realize if you could take that character or the group of characters into a film and you're enjoying it, I mean, something mundane, then you know that it's not the setting, it's the characters that are so much fun. And so I encourage you to try that sometime. There you go.
That's right. Take your characters and put them into a completely different setting.
Yes. Put it into a completely different setting. And he's locked again, folks.
As you're developing,
Kind of interesting. He's green, nothing, green, nothing, green, nothing, nothing. Are you back now, mister? No. Tell you what, why don't you get good and I'll continue on. But yeah, so test it. Put your character into something that's not necessarily the milieu. And if your characters aren't carrying themselves outside of the milieu, then maybe perhaps take a look at it. And I'm going through this right now with a brand new series where I'm having to take a hard look. And I found some compelling things about them, but I realized belatedly I did all of the beats for the first book. And I'm like, where did I really set in those compelling items? I put it on their character sheet, but where did I put it into it itself? Go ahead, Craig.
am I back? All right. The characters. I'm lost because I'm trying to figure out goddamn internet. Yeah, I'm having issues with my internet right now. I am on the Skyroam, so it is coming through for the moment, but we'll drop here shortly, and then I'll jump over to the other internet.
I like
But
to.
the backdrop, the interesting
No, that's
backdrop,
hmm
and the characters. Taking the characters and taking them off the backdrop, and if they're still interesting, then you use the backdrop to really add color and flavor to your story, and you have a winner. I saw somebody comment that on Scrivener you can cut out just the dialogue. That's
I didn't
another
know
way
that.
to do it. Is the dialogue engaging, and how do you make sure? And what are the quips? How are the setups? How can you make sure who's speaking without doing a tag on every single spoken sentence? All of that stuff that helps your flow and helps people relate to the characters, especially without doing an info dump. It's important that the character develop themselves through how they interact with others. You see that, and here's one of the things that I always tell people: we judge ourselves by our intent because we know what we intend to do, but other people judge us solely by our actions because they can't see your intent. This is
hmm
also a legal premise because the mens rea, what was your intent for doing this, committing this crime? And some have a mens rea component.
Since he is going to stop here for a second, I'm going to go back to Justin Querless and your comment about, I think, adding humor, even if it is completely ridiculous. I completely am on the same side as you with this. And I thought, for a while that my humor was like the secret sauce that we needed to have and everything. And then I realized romance. Even though I didn't particularly try to add any romance into what was going into the books, that romance is kind of the salt to humor's pepper. So I kept adding pepper to everything, and adding romance seems to be something that really engages at a much more emotional level than what's going on. So these are just some of the different tips or tricks or whatever. We have a series now where it's a rough series, a lot of killing in it, a lot of dying, and so one of the main characters, she's got a nickname that has to do with the fact that whenever she tries to date someone, they die. So that's kind of the ongoing thing that no one wants to, she's scared to date anyone for this reason. And so I'm wanting to create empathy because of that situation where she is, out and she's happy to have, but she now has to tell when guys kind of come up to her and ask for a date, she's like, maybe when you come back in her life in a week, we can actually have a date. Hey, Craig, you're back.
I'm back.
Maybe this is what happens when you have 4 terabytes of internet usage in 1 month.
At $15 a gig. It's no, it's been jumping in and out from my phone as well. This is there's something with the towers today or something going on, and
Sounds fine.
it's wildfire season. All of Fairbanks is connected through Anchorage via a single fiber cable that goes along the highway south past Denali, used to be Mount McKinley, down to Anchorage, where the fiber then it goes underseas and it connects with the rest of the world. So we're connected via single fiber, and we lost all of our internet one day. It's like, what the hell happened? They cut through it down in Anchorage. They cut through the main fiber cable, digging a new utility line or something. And so that's how susceptible we are to little nuances. Anytime there's a fire, a wildfire down along the road, and there's 250 miles of wildfire susceptible area. So it doesn't take much, and we lose all connectivity. So anyway, even if you go through a cell tower, because the cell towers all connect to this fiber and then go to Anchorage. So even if you're wired here in Fairbanks, there's 1 gig downtown is what you can get if you're on the main line.
Oof, very nice. Judith
Yeah.
Tabram, your question that was there, but for myself, what happened is I decided that I knew that there were a lot of people who were pro Ford and pro Chevy. So I had a guy whose last name was Ford, but he was a Chevy lover. And I was going through the whole beats before I even realized, holy crap, I didn't even add any of this interesting feature that I thought, it's the whole Coke Pepsi thing. So I had kind of screwed up on that. And then on another person, I didn't bring it to the fore. It was like casually mentioned in a conversation. And so I didn't actually make it compelling action. And so I had to go back in and realize that, these attributes of the characters that I was trying to build into it, that nothing was actually in the books themselves. They were just stuck off on the character sheet. And so I had kind of messed up in that case. When bad things happening to my characters, I'm like, no, and get blocked. Have you ever had this, and how do you overcome it? Um, the one time that I always think back is I was five, six, seven, somewhere in there, and I was gonna have the main guy propose to the lady friend, and it was gonna be in the next book. I already had it planned out, and son of a by mean, be mean. Oh, Judith, be mean. Um, anyway, so long story short, they were at the end of the previous book, and he just right there in the middle of the scene got down on his knees and started proposing. And I wrote through it. Otherwise, if right, bad things mean, I don't understand. But anyway, hopefully I answered that question. Um, the right name. How do you act? This is interesting. How do you do the right name? Or whichever one you want to answer.
The in books, a lot of books that I've read.
Okay, we're losing Craig a little bit here.
So initially, fuck.
It's okay, man. It's okay. Your stress, your heart is everything is worth just settle down.
Yeah, that's I try, but the was very, very seriously, and he was a professional author for a lot. You're trying to portray, and then he would search online for any pillar or a leaf or something, and he would search, and then he would put those in, and main antagonist was Malbor or something like that of the naming convention of the characters exude evil was not fun. And then you have Dumbledore. Hey, isn't he supposed to be a big goofy guy? Not necessarily. No, he's like one of the smartest guys we've gotten. Harry, everybody likes Harry, and you look at the various names, and it's like they all kind of fit, except Hermione, because that's very British, and Americans mispronounce that until the first movie, and then like, holy shit, is that how you say that? So anyway, yeah. So it's not a word we ever heard of over here. So Hermione is how I pronounce it. I thought it was French. I didn't bother looking it up and say, how do you pronounce that? So Hermione, yeah, well, no, Hermione, what the hell? Who pronounced it that way? The Brits, that's who. It's our word. So the names, Google is my friend for the names. And another thing I do is I've got a listing of 20 or 30,000 names that I compiled off the net. Indian names, like India, South Asia, Native American names, Chinese names, and then with them there's like a little explanation. This name means this in Hindu or Hindi or whatever. And I looked at okay, here's one, and I'll apply that or do another Google search and find, hey, what's interesting? What's a I mean, don't do what's a great name for an evil guy. Nah, that's not really how you want to search it. It's why is he evil? What makes him evil? He loves Pepsi, not Coke. Okay.
Exactly.
Pep, and just do a Google search on Pepsi lovers and just scan it and say, here's one. Now this, see, it sounds weird because they're weird, and you work that in, and all of a sudden, hey, that subliminal message. The most important thing when I Google for a name is what hits me right away. You don't try to, if you have to think too much, it doesn't work. So it's got to be what hits you right away. So yeah, I actually put a lot of effort into naming, and I'll ask the fans on the Criterion Gambit fans and readers page. I'll ask them. I'm like, hey, I need names for a female protagonist, and male protagonist, an alien, a butthole. I always ask for a butthole just because I'm curious to see what people and I'll get these names like, that one fits and this one fits. And then I'll give them a shout out in the back and I'll use those names. So there's all kinds of different ways. And the names are important. They need to be relating. You can't have, what's that Weasley little silver haired dude in Malfoy? Doesn't that say evil? Mal? But what if Malfoy was a good guy? I mean, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work as well as making him a bad guy. Oh, you probably liked him, Coke drinker.
Well, yeah, exactly. I used to do something interesting back in the beginning when I first found out that this was a problem by needing names. Is anytime I would go to a theater and see a movie, I would wait until the end and then record the credits because you will get names that you had no idea existed, period. And they're obviously legit names because, there's 1,000 of them scrolling past you from all over the world.
Yep.
And so that was one way that I would occasionally do something like that.
Names. I think they're very important. And one thing I didn't take seriously at the beginning was naming my book. The name of the book. I'm like, hey, it's for a fucking name, whatever. People love it because it's me and I wrote a great story. Bullshit. It's got to have a title because we talk about a great cover. You know what makes a great cover? A title that isn't The Free Trader of Warren Deep, which I left because it's this big, long, obnoxious title that really isn't important to the story. But I thought of it, I'm like, hey, this is cool. No, it's not. So on the complete box set, it just says Free Trader. That's okay. Now here's the draw. And shorter names are better. You look at my Judge, Jury, and Executioner, Michael and mine Judge, Jury, and Executioner series. Very, very short names and high impact, superb typography, and that is what catches. You go through Amazon's top 10 list, you go through New York Times top 10, 20 list, and you see the names of those books and the genres. The girl who, okay, now you stuff like that. I know Michael has just launched a new Girl Who series with that kind
Oh,
of naming convention.
yeah, that was fun. You get to make a lot of mistakes in life. Let's just say it that way. If you put out enough books, you will screw up. I promise you.
You'll have ones that don't sell, and then when they do sell, they'll get a bad review because they're just not
Yeah.
resonating. Just part of growing.
Okay, Craig, we got you. Hold on. Hold
Get your
on.
take over,
Breathe
Michael.
in,
Take over.
breathe in, Craig, breathe in. You're okay. But let's go ahead and round this out because I think I am worried about your health because you will get pissed off, and that's not healthy for where you're at right now. So, but beyond that, I mean, characters, I think a lot, like I had mentioned been earlier, characters and the fact that you do good characters are a big thing. Um, I, you know, I lose it. So it's helpful for me to be reminded that characters are a thing because if I'm creating a milieu that I'm really excited about, I got to go back to the characters. I need to make sure I do the things I know I should do, but in the stress, if you will, to continue the production, I let some of this go by the wayside. Then I have to fix it in the middle of writing the book. Not always the best place to do this. Spend the time up front to make characters that are fun, relatable, engageable. Now, to having said that, there are people who don't want fun, relatable characters. Just don't bitch at me if you find out that they don't sell very well. They might. It's feasible. It's a lot harder. So just be aware of that the characters can make it because fans will want to reread and be with characters even though they know the end of the story. Correct?
Consistency in characters is important. So as you start a character, if they're on a growth journey where they're learning and broadening, make sure you keep track of that. So because if you jerk people back and forth, the readers saying, "Here's my character doing these great things and descends into evil every now and then," but it's okay because they really intend well. And if you do that more than once or twice, you're going to lose your readers because if it's an inconsistent character. Another pitfall to avoid is your characters. If you've got a big main character, all your other characters start to sound like those main characters. And this is something else that my insider, I do that all the time. My insider team catches that and says, "Hey, this isn't something that she'd say." It's like, holy shit, you're right. They're all being that one character now, and I have to go back and fix all this dialogue. So just things to watch out for with your characters. Keep them unique, keep them relatable, keep them consistent. And if they're growing, then it doesn't hurt to have an internal dialogue or a question of, geez, why did I do that? The lantern, that's where you shine the lantern on stuff that doesn't exactly seem to work. Like, I can't believe that happened. Yeah, it shouldn't have. And then you move on. It's like, yeah, no kidding, it shouldn't have. You just made that shit up, and we're going to take it because you said, wow, that shouldn't have happened. I agree. Now, let's move forward. I have done that once or twice. So anytime you have writer's block, just do that. Wow, that was really bizarre. I think so too. My God, who'd have thought that would have happened? Hey, what's next?
And then you've just saved 10,000 words of effort.
of explanation that everybody's going to get lost in because even you don't understand it. So,
All right. You think it's probably time to call it, Craig. I hate to say it, but one last thing, if you will, 20 books to 50K, 40,000 members. Congratulations to 20 books to 50K for that. There are still things that you can do till the end of the month to go and get signed up at LMBPN. There's a link in 20 books to go and get on the potential drawing for one of 4 iPads, one of 4 Amazon gift certificates, and a 6-pack of Coca-Cola that will have a name on it, either yours or a character's. And then also there's a link over to Ali. Everybody who signs up for the Ali one will get access to the digital version of their book. And he's ditching it again. And what is the other one? Oh, there are going to be given away 10 one-year memberships to Ali as well. So that's all the way to the end of it. 40,000 people's congratulations. Hopefully Craig is going to come back in at the end in order to be able to say congratulations. Oh, we got Steve Curry. Not sure that's my play on words. Title is my friend. So we have no. He's a black square. That's all we have of Craig. So I don't know. Are you here, Craig? Craig, there you are, Craig. So we were congratulating 20 books for 40,000 people.
It's a great thing to see, and the quality of the group. People are treating each other with respect, playing nice, not dictating. I mean, just say, hey, this worked for me, this didn't work for me, and move on. It is an incredible group. I'm happy to be a part of it, and I think it's a great thing for authors that I wish was here when I started. I mean, I didn't have the resources that we now are able to make available to everybody else. If you're just starting, come on over, take a look. Don't get overwhelmed by the marketing stuff. If you haven't written your book yet, the best thing you can do is write your book. And Mark Dawson this morning conceded, CEDED, conceded. He said his latest release, he's down to like a 10% ad cost on his latest release. And he said, okay, maybe there is something to this. Nothing sells the last book like the next book.
And did you reply to that?
I was quite pleased. No, I just I actually I did, but it's like, yes, but you still have to advertise, and I know that because J.K. Rowling still advertises Harry Potter. It's like, why are you even spending? Because there's still readers out there who haven't read it or haven't read the books, have only seen the movies, and the books are they're full. They're more three-dimensional. I did want to address this from Steve Curry. Not sure my play on words title structure is good. I would reference the movie The Wonders. It was about the Wonders, and they had a one-hit wonder. That was their whole thing. It's that thing you do. And Wonder, Oneder, Wonder is how they did it. And on the radio, they started calling them the Oneaters. And when they signed, they're like, Wonders, why can't people just fix it? W-O-N, you are the Wonders, W-O-N-D-E-R-S, because people weren't getting it. And it's like, don't waste time with that. Let's get right to the heart of it. So the Wonders as opposed to the Oneaters, same word, same element, but that's how they approach it. So you have to be very, very simple, vanilla plain almost on your cover. Like one of my cover, Dispute, a space lawyer, and the title is Dispute. That's it. So there you go, and keeping it simple, keeping it maybe even a little ambiguous. The girl who heard frogs, the girl on the train. You think about that, it's like, what the hell is that about? Who cares? A lot of people cared, and a lot of people parted with their money because they liked what they saw. But still, it wasn't a girl on something traveling on tracks. I mean, don't lose them. And that's my final word on. But book naming is far more important than I gave it credit for when we first started. Way more important. So take it seriously and do a little test with your fans. If you don't have any fans yet, if you don't have any readers because you haven't published your first book, take a look at the top books, New York Times, Amazon, and see how those are named. What is the naming convention? And then when you have your idea for your cover art, what fits? So also there's that limitation. You have a physical limitation.
Here's another thing. If you happen to name your book that sells hundreds of thousands of copies, a series that does millions of copies, but you name it after a semi-successful movie called Death Becomes Her, you will never surpass that movie in Amazon's list. Just a thought.
Yes. As a matter of fact, Michael's first book, Death Becomes Her. And it very apropos for the book. So
yeah, but I can never get above that. So if you look up Death Becomes Her, the damn movie is always on top.
If you do an all search, if you do the ebook, I bet you it's on top because they didn't do a novelized version of the script.
Yeah, but I don't want it feels like cheating if you can't beat everything. Anyway, it's a personal gripe. That's okay.
Yep. I like the fact that when I always check my name on Amazon, all things, just to see where I pop up, and I like the fact that after typing Craig before typing anything else, I was number 3 on the autofill, and I'm like, that's cool. So that's from a VPN mysterious computer, and I'm like, that is way cool, getting that autofill that early in my name, that you don't have to get to the second L before it finally fills in the last E. That's just a personal ego stroke. The
Yes.
characters, take them seriously. Name, take it seriously. But the characters, develop them where they feel like somebody you want to hang out with in a way that you can relate to.
Yeah, so we've been told that both of us look a little scruffy from Facebook users. Yes, I actually ended
Look
up.
at this.
No, I definitely don't. I had an option to shave, but then I actually spoke to my brother, whom I haven't spoken to in a while, and just talked right through the amount of time it would have taken to shave. So that's it. That's what you get. You can take the yeah, good Lord, what's going on with the hair? Man, I need to go get a haircut. Jiminy Christmas. Yeah, that's what the hell is
Soon,
this? It won't go down.
soon it'll open up.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious.
You could,
No.
but that's what it
That's
is.
that's horrible.
And yeah, talking about movie names. Here's that's Kevin McLaughlin, Ad Astra. His book was out forever, and then the movie, a really bad movie, comes out with Ad Astra, and hey, there you go. And now all of a sudden, Kevin is the pretender. Ad Astra simply means to the stars. That's all. But it sounds cool. And I think it's the Starship Satori series that is the series name. So it's very clear this is science fiction. The covers are very science fiction-y. And then the movie comes out, Ad Astra, and it's yeah, fuck.
Sorry, Kevin.
That's my final word on Ad Astra. Geez.
Excellent work. So, Craig, what
All
else?
right.
What are you doing the rest of the? You're gonna finish out your book. That's it for the rest of the month for you. Focus.
That's almost exclusively what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish this book. I've got a giveaway going. I'm giving away a Millennium Falcon that I had mistakenly thought I would be a cool gift for my wife. The Millennium Falcon is unopened at 1,329 pieces. So it's it's a freaking big one because I don't do anything half-assed. So
Is that up
if I'm
there
gonna,
with hair dryer and washer dryer set?
it's up there with a new vacuum cleaner, honey. Look at this.
We can do this together.
So I'm giving this away, and for a list builder, and I think that's going to take off pretty well. I set it up on King Sumo for 2 years. I bought one of the King Sumo free for life things if you pay like $45 or $35 like last year. And so, hey, why not use them? What the hell? I got this thing. eBay, nowhere near as gratifying as getting an extra 500 or 1,000 science fiction fans of some ilk who to put into my list. No, that's what I'm doing with that. And
Oh, I like. Yeah,
but
I
getting
love
this
that.
book written and getting some let's see that's it, writing this book and then getting the next one lined up. I got this ends this series. Nightwalker will finish that series, and then I'm free to start a whole new project, and I really look forward to that and getting the feedback and working with the developmental adding up the previous 100 books. And
So we're losing you a little bit here, Craig. But I will mention that you bring up something very important that
yeah,
both of us have been talking marketing and ad spend and everything else in 2020 that we're putting more money toward it than we were before, even though we do understand nothing sells the first book like the last book. Or even the previous book like the last book, the latest book. Or even Godiva. Oh my gosh, Craig, we should do a post in 20 books about what should Craig have got his wife other than a Millennium Falcon. What the hell is an aluminum falcon? All right. All right.
I
Bye,
tell
everybody. You
you,
gonna, yep.
love you guys. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Bye. Yeah, know your audience.